summer love in my group, and I Tony was one of the 70s. Yeah. So we're here. Oh my God. And it was September. Yeah. And I said, oh no, her name was September. And I said, were you performing?
My name is Stella.
Hey, Ned. Another poet. Yeah. Well, this show goes on every month. Yeah. This is my show to usually. Yeah. What? Oh.
YouTube right now. Hi, myself on YouTube. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out tonight to celebrate poetry. Want to get through some just housekeeping stuff first. But I'll introduce myself because Tony very kindly, he usually hosts the show, as I think everyone here knows. And he gave me a very handy list of things to sort of do as part of my introduction. And one of them was to introduce myself. So my name is Katie Vagnino. That's my husband. He's very supportive. He also suggested that I open the show, and he came up with this song on 5. It's really clever. And it's feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. Listen up, y'all. It's poetry time. So we actually use that. Yeah, my name is Katie. I live in Minneapolis. I'm a poet. I've been on this show a few times. This is my first time. Oh, thanks. This is my first time hosting the show, so that's kind of a fun new thing. Great to see a lot of folks that I've seen here before, some new faces. You know, the show has been going for many years now, 6 years. And tonight is actually the 75th Poets and Pints. So, yeah, suggestions. I was going to see something probably sort of great. But yeah, this is our 75th Poets and Pints. So that's awesome. We've been in some different spaces. We've had different hosts. The original host, one of the original founders, is here tonight. But you know, Tony has been running the ship now for a while, and he is a beloved member of our poetry community here in Twin Cities. So very excited to celebrate because we both tonight. Yeah. And they are all for sale here tonight. There's a table over there. You can buy some of Tony's books. He's going to be closing out the show as our headliner, of course. Yeah, his latest, The Conflict That Creates, is the one we're celebrating the launch of tonight. It's awesome. I see a number of you already have your copies. Tony is going to be signing after the show. And there are other poets here we're going to be reading, and some of them also have books that you can buy if you like what you hear. I too am a poet, as I mentioned, and my book is also for sale. So Tony, give me permission to shamelessly plug. So this is my book. It's called Imitation Craft. And it came out this year in February. So yeah, that's Hopefully we'll be in person again soon. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here. We're really excited to be in Sisyphus Brewery. This has been our hometown for a while. They treat us very well, so please treat them well by ordering beverages. They also have some pretzels for sale, other merch. So please support them. We really appreciate being able to use this wonderful space to host these readings every month. So give it up for Sisyphus. All right, so as part of shamelessly plugging my book, I'm just going to read a couple of short ones from the book, and then I'm going to introduce our first reader of the night. So I tried to pick poems that kind of reminded me of Tony's work. We love Tony and his work. So this one's called Your Dreams Explained. Rotting teeth mean money troubles. Molars loose in the mouth, like coins rattling in a car cup holder. Never enough for the toll. If you dream of being a fish, a trout, say, swimming upstream, you might be anxious about work, or the fact that your wife's skin suddenly reminds you of scales. You catch yourself wondering how she'd look hooked by the gums. Waking up wet with visions of Ted from next door means you'd like to have sex with Ted from next door. Vegetables represent repressed anger toward your mother, who is to blame for your cauliflower complexion, your distaste for cooked fruit. Flying is a sign of a lover's betrayal. You are gravity, abandoned. All right, I'll just read one more. This is a portrait of the common loon by an unknown artist. In this depiction, she looks unoffended by the designation of ordinary, a label assigned to her by some scientist who cannot fly or live among lily paths, who must wear clothes to keep warm, whose calls often go unanswered. She gazes off left, her infrared eye focusing on something in the middle distance beyond the frame. Her mate, or a predator, perhaps, or a motorboat sending ripples across the bay. Still, she remains unruffled, content with herself, and at peace with her place in the water. The artist who painted her can relate. Why sign your work when it is unremarkable, except in its proficiency, its accuracy in rendering an everyday bird going about its business, unresentful of rarer creatures more deserving of attention? So all the poets here tonight are certainly more rare and exotic. They are deserving of your attention. And I'm going to bring the first one up right now. If I can find his bio. Yes, here we go. Brendan Brophy is a poet living in Minneapolis and the youth chair on the executive board of the League of Minnesota Poets, which I should mention this event is affiliated with Cracked Walnut, who's part of that group. His work has been featured through several institutions, such as St. Kate's University, the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, Anoka Ramsey Community College, and Augsburg University. The vast majority of Brendan's work has been filtered heavily through themes of confessionalism, existentialism, nihilism, absurdism, and probably a few other isms that don't really matter. Brendan says that poetry is the closest things to magic that we have in this world, in that it has the ability to take the truly vexing trials we face in life and mold them into something beautiful, sustaining, and life-affirming. Please welcome Brendan Brophy.
Thank you. First off, thank you for comparing the other words. And also thank you for the laughs, like on the philosophy joke within the bio. I was like, there's just one other philosophy joke. All right, so I'm going to start off by reading a piece about like how I was at the absolute worst stage of mental health in my life over the course of the pandemic. I'm that fucking cheery person that's going to be like, hey, let's start with depression. So this poem is called Coward. I'm sorry. I wish I wasn't caught in the existence of days striving for normalcy. The subtle scraps of neutrality picked from between each tooth, its taste and apparition increasingly devoid of tangible traction and lost to the muddling palpitation of soliloquy on reliable eyewitness accounts of a memory that knew a memory that knew a memory that knew a guy who supposedly knew normal. Squandered search attempts bogged down by layers of matrimony between crestfallen ambience and masochistic redundancies, crying over scraped tongues that won't let me forget what I do know. I know the feeling of the squeak from my aging recliner rattling along my spine. I know the feeling of varying degrees of wear on the knockoff leather in each seat of my couch. I know the feeling of the clothes that I've worn for however many days in a row now, slightly clinging to my skin. I know the feeling of strangers' eyes not knowing what to do with me because they've never seen a grown man crying in the grocery store checkout line for no apparent reason. I know the feeling of realizing that I wasted over 7 hours of my life binge watching The Tiger King. I know the feeling of realizing that I can't specifically remember the last time any of the hours of my life weren't wasted. I know the feeling of coming up with new angles to overthink the fears I thought of earlier today, when I was overthinking the fears I thought of yesterday, when I was already overthinking for the millionth fucking time with my goddamn OCD-riddled brain. I know the feeling of my cracked and withered hands leaving behind a morgue of dead skin cells on everything they touch, because I can't stop overwashing and sanitizing my hands. I wish I didn't know the feeling of fear-induced defiance, not allowing me to leave my bed, and so I'd use the illusion of productivity to trick my husk into doing absolutely nothing on all of the other pieces of furniture in my house through a dejected game of musical chairs played against myself. I'm sorry that I know the feeling of being grateful that there aren't any firearms in my home, because I no longer trust the lingering intimacy my gaze occupies towards blades, pill bottles, and other ways out. I'm sorry I know the feeling of spending a night seated in a room of complete darkness and hoping the sunrise doesn't come. I know what it means to truly feel silence. Every moment of endless ciphering, hand carved from time by each pulse, pulling through veins like knotted rope until breath has coated every surface in reverberation. The bare and room quiets of atrophy and asphyxiation, reminding consciousness that echoes are nothing, not the graveyards of pulse and breath. I know what it means to feel the withering frame of my responsibilities, the diminishing passion for my talents, the separation anxiety from my employment, and the asymmetric oscillation of my mental health, all in a symbiotic existence, utterly reduce me to a gardener of dead skin cells. The basins of my floorboards, a tapestry that begs of I wish, a memoir that prays to I'm sorry, a magnum opus born from the erosion of stilling echoes that simply whisper, coward. Before I jump into the next one, I just want to say a big thank you to Tony, because I sincerely believe that there's no form of flattery like that. Ask you to be a part of the release of their work. It's the beautiful thing about the poetry community is that the community is so tight that like a book release is very seldom an individual just reading their own stuff. A lot of times other people being celebrated as well. And so to be asked to be a part of it, it's truly just flattering, and thank you for thinking highly enough of me to have me like help introduce your new work. And so this one's a little bit later. This one's called 45 is the New 86. And I wrote this because in case you don't remember, our previous president was basically an embodiment of like the cartoon character Richie Rich if he chose to only drink 4 Locos in a Taco Bell parking lot. Thank the immensely measurable mortal gods of the Confederacy that the real Americans finally have a leader who, like them, possesses a vastly more intimate knowledge of details on the variety of different flavors of Mountain Dew and of the existence of the female orgasm. You know, like a candidate, parading resignation for a profound therapist, as to fine dining etiquette, whose bold fashion sense says that mustard stains are officially the unofficial 4th pillar of our independence. A vastly literate elaboration of a possibly literal tweet release reads, "We are officially rebranding the American flag. We're going to be adding more colors, great colors, real American colors. Best flag color since Reagan, way more colors than Obama's flag. Obama's flag is North Korean colors, very unpatriotic flag. So, my flag, much better for America, probably the highest trending flag ever. It's going to be huge." Now, if I'm stretching the truth at all, which I would never openly admit to doing, it's only because I know the U.S. Constitution and I know our founding fathers fought furiously against someone, probably Canada, with warfighter airplanes and sonic windmill cancer to preserve the document's interpretation as a metaphor of a life-size French Armstrong doll who only takes his café black and always keeps his individual liberties white. And all while fighting off masks and science of American karate integrity. So while we're on the topic of integrity, did you know that the Mayan calendar probably recognized the number 45 as being synonymously associated with a sentient venereal disease? So who's to say if 45 isn't really 86? Malachite mishandling is an amalgamation magically still not just going away someday. Societal dilapidations festering pain. Treading their abundant cycles between an inwardly delirious worship apparatus and blighted sovereignty, reimbursement puncturing, offering, perforation name, diminishing returns. Consumption of the sordid freedom myth, kissing your assurances goodnight. Your shattered symphonies of mangled language with fear and indignation. Our ignorance, ours to swallow. A bed to sleep in, a hall to die. And I want to keep things going just because I'm hoping to get through at least like one more. I want to do 4. I often find myself measuring this stuff. I often find myself measuring the distance between flesh and bone, with the minutes that refuse to stay seconds, the seconds pleading insanity to a 4-chamber congregation that begs to ask, is this all a human body is made of? The realization that being torn apart by all the wild, tragic beast ferocities that haunt man's perfect sense of perfection are nowhere near as frightening to me as the idea of knowing that somewhere out there on the internet, there's a cat video that I haven't seen yet. It's a sense of happiness, not a, you just saved $5 with your Walgreens Rewards member card kind of happiness, but I just waited 58 minutes for a prescription refill that should have been available to me 53 minutes ago, and now I finally get to feel normal again, kind of happiness. Much like pretending to know rain, when really your voice box is bleeding out, flickering from the television set like epilepsy, the drowning innocence is hardly enough to bring the words, move on. Going swimming only to be caught up to your own head and devoid of childhood gods that ring in the passive-aggressive thunder and wartime holidays, hand in hand with the burning afterpull of cheap whiskey, sinking into the allure of gutted trees and shaken off memories that get convoluted in the last beer. Feeling left open by consumption, the coffee stains and pencil-written suicide notes that carry the patience I've given up my precious God-to-God obligations I keep it right next to the lingering taste of what we took from each other until a thrown-in towel finally cried, "We're even." My paralyzed teeth, weathered by the collision that screamed, "It was not a mistake when I let you kill me and make my home and make your home inside my bones." Learning every ridge and crevice like Braille, the world holds no claims on my heart. When I say that I love you, it is on purpose. What's up, Walter? Okay, I'm gonna finish this up here. This one's called Shiny Objects. Shiny Objects. The Weissman Art Museum. Washington Street Bridge. John Berryman. The spot on the Washington Street Bridge where John Berryman jumped to his death. Students. Students drinking coffee as they fight against the hours of the day. Students riding bikes. Thought of how much I hate the students riding bikes when I'm driving. My check engine light. The fact that my check engine light has been on for so long now that it's actually starting to get easy to ignore. Trying to find open parking spaces on campus. Realizing that there are no open parking spaces on campus. Parking off campus, speed walking to campus, speed walking into class, being slightly embarrassed that I'm the last one to class. Being slightly embarrassed that I'm out of breath from speed walking to class. Not being entirely sure like which of the two slightly embarrassing scenarios I'm more slightly embarrassed about. Taking notes, doodling and writing poetry when I'm supposed to be taking notes. Taking more notes, wandering thoughts about how scary adulthood is, not having financial aid fully cover the expenses of my private school liberal arts education, not having the safety net of being on my parents' health insurance plan, not having the safety net of being on anyone's health insurance plan. Realizing you haven't been taking notes for the last 20 minutes and class is ending now. Telling yourself you'll get the notes off of a PowerPoint, off of Moodle later. Accepting that you totally just lied to yourself about getting the notes off of a PowerPoint, off of Moodle later. Fuck Moodle. Fuck whoever created Moodle. Who did create Moodle? Probably Mr. Moodle. No, it's not fair. It could have just as easily been Mrs. Moodle. Realizing that I sincerely need to be more aware of my own white hetero-cis male privilege. Realizing I'm still seated even though the classroom is empty now. Realizing my teacher is staring at me because I'm still seated even though the classroom is supposed to be empty now. Being slightly embarrassed again. Calmly walking out of class. Calmly walking to my car. My check engine light. The fact that my check engine light has been on for so long now that it's actually starting to be easy to ignore. Students. Students drinking coffee as they fight against the hours of the day. Students riding bikes. Thought of how much I hate the students riding bikes and driving. The Washington Street Bridge. John Berryman. Spot on the Washington Street Bridge where John Berryman jumped to his death. The Weissman Art Museum. Shiny Objects.
Thank you so much, Brendan. I really admire, like, you write like very kind of epic pieces, and I like that. I mean, I'm someone who really struggles to write longer poems, so I find that impressive. Also, my check engine light is always on. You know, you take it in and they're like, it's nothing bad. I'm like, okay, but what if someday it is something bad? I don't know. This check engine light is like always on. So yeah, that was our first reader. We have 2 more readers to go before our headliner. You know, your first piece also, Brendan, being about mental health in the pandemic. it occurred to me I'd love to read one more just short one that's not in my book. It's the only poem I wrote during the pandemic, really, because I was sort of creatively bereft. And it's part of actually a cool collection that's coming out in print. It's called This Was 2020, and it's being published by the Ramsey County Public Library, and it's just writings from Minnesotans, prose and poetry, kind of about their experience of living in Minnesota in 2020, where we have a lot of pretty eventful things happening. And I had a poem in that collection because I was taking a lot of walks during the pandemic to get out of my apartment, and this one was probably written around May of 2020, and it's called Pandemic Stroll. Today, I find myself avoiding cracks in the sidewalk like a superstitious kid, afraid a misstep might be tantamount to tugging a loose thread in the sweater of misfortune we've been wearing since March. Commercials remind us that we're all in this together. Chalk, flowers, and doodles on the pavement remind me that children are living through this too. I wonder if it seems to them like a warped fairy tale. We're all Rapunzels with overgrown hair, trapped in a tower of our own making. Maybe what's going on doesn't remind them of any story either. Once upon a time, there is no resemblance to now or a past anyone can remember. Perhaps all we can do is turn to poetry and prayer. Summon those ancient, invisible forces to battle an invisible virus. I think I'm going to have an addendum to that and be like, can I get a vaccine? Way before that is an option. So our next reader is Ashley Cardona. Ashley. Yes, hello. All right. Ash Cardona holds an MFA from Oxford University. She lives in Hopkins, Minnesota, with her husband, daughters, and two naughty but charming dogs. Oh, I know, those are very good boys. Where she teaches high school students to care about language. We're going to be friends. Sometimes she is successful at this. Her poems can be found in, oh, I'm going to mispronounce this one, Untitled Walnut, Poached Hare, The Dollhouse, Lumina, and Poetry City USA. Oh, I'm in that too. Instagram and Twitter, she's at AKV Cardona. So please give a very warm Poets and Pints welcome to Ashley Cardona.
Oh, yeah. All right. So the things that Brendan and celebration of your it's really fun to be in person again. So I've got poems that I'll read. I was trying to figure out what I was reading before we started, and I didn't, so we'll just wing it. Woo! All right. It's kind of how I roll. Oh, sorry, Brendan. Yeah, I know that. Okay, so I'll start with this one. It's called What We Can Hold. When they discovered a crater of ice on Mars, a deep glacial cup, an expanse like a double Great Lake, the result of elevation and pressure and alien magic, we said, one day this will be a tourist destination. Regardless of the singular ability to turn phenomenon into postcards and magnets, is ours alone. As if a hawk invites us to check out the view in Yellowstone. As if the coyote offers to guide us down the Grand Canyon. Oh, stop there for a photo op, he said. Stupid creatures. We stare through miracles, searching for profit. We ignore the prophetic, the mind-boggling math of light years. How a pool of light will drain into shadow. Fractals become murmurations, become the liquid velvet, winter sky, where we raise silent prayers to slumbering deities, as if existence is box-shaped, as if what we can hold is worth the holding, as if a cupped hand will collect anything but snow.
This next one is called The Skeptic Buys a Smudging Kit. Yeah, that kind of smudging kit. The Skeptic Buys a Smudging. Sometimes in the half-light of morning, you can see them in small puffs of dust, absurd metaphysical prisms. They refuse to hide anymore. Mythology is one thing, but this has become mundane. Tired glances over coffee, a familiar nod when passing on the stairs, a learned coexistence. Each culture has its demons, each its remedies. Make an offering, say a prayer to you, arm yourself with light or an energy circle of crystals. The magic is always aromatic and promising. These house guests are impervious to ritual, nestled among your socks and coffee cups, lounging bored behind the toothpaste. An imperfect witch, you always try again. Light the incense, conjure some gusto. Raise them up like corpses from the earth. Unlatch the door, open the window. We tend to also write shorter poems. Right? Sometimes I have longer ones, and a couple are longer by my standard, but anyway. I'll read Choosing a Weapon. Choosing a Weapon. I've been instructed to go after my life with an axe, to determine what can be hacked out. Feel the heft of it. Raise it high, take aim, and swing. The brute force of the action is appealing, I must say. The wildness and desperation of the act, the ceremonious lifting up of the instrument, the unceremonious whack of impact. But this axe is imprecise and clumsy. I tend more toward the scalpel, or a small knife for whittling. Careful strokes create space too, just not as much and not as fast. But now is not the time for careful. An automatic rifle is efficient, but I don't trust the periscope and the precarious finger on the trigger. The inevitable spray of bullets could be too wide and I might miss the target. Besides, I fear the kickback would throw off the whole operation and I haven't been trained. What I need, maybe, is a hand grenade, or better yet, a cannon. I'll blow the whole thing wide open, burn it all to the ground, and salvage the ashes. Sometimes there is wisdom in destruction, and sometimes just debris. Okay, this one I wrote for my daughter. It was after a prompt. I had to use color. I also had to use some lines from various songs. So it's called Backyard Rhapsody. There's a hippopotamus in the alley, wolves in the garage. The dragonflies draw circles across the sky, streaks of supersonic vibration humming along, dreaming along, mostly blue, mostly not blue, mostly nothing in color, mostly nothing. In color, I am reluctant. I confess I don't know what to do. Green is our backdrop, and there is white and shadow texture, lush and wandering like a jazz bit, like a vine, like blue. Delphinium in blue, rhapsody in blue. Tell me true, do blueberries cross-pollinate? They do. Listen for the wandering piano, the swell and crest, the riff, the blue notes, the jazz. We dance under a paper moon, lucid in black and white, or maybe sometimes there is red, a bright carmine, but mostly blue or bluish. No pink or yellow, the green is not green, orange is untrue, all colors become no colors, become mud, become dark. Blue bells, cockle shells, easy, I yield. Blue hyacinth, fragrant blue plantain lily, dusty leaves, salvia, the purple indigo of the iris stretching into a blue sky like a fist, like a mouth on a long, thin neck. Above, like a horse with 6 legs, gallops down the stalk and disappears into a wormhole, I presume. What's the story, Morning Glory? Her dark eyes shimmer, tell me impossible things. The cars are flying. The house is made of goldfish. No, butterflies.
And I am a giant. We are huge and tiny in this dream dervish. We are birds. We are unicorns. You're a monster. I'm a monster. She is shrieking, gleeful, and growling. A wildflower in the garden, unknown. Her mouth, smeared popsicle red, drips like watercolor, stains the spinning blue dress. She laughs, the maniacal laugh of lunatics and children. All right, well, let's keep with my kid poems. I've got a couple others. One is called What I Would Give My Daughter. There's a poem by Aidan Holland, Irish poet, that I came across years ago, and I just thought it was lovely, and wrote this sort of in that same vein. So it's after Aidan Holland. So what I would give my daughter. Some token from my past, a treasure box of unknown value, a thing of beauty to always connect us. An empty cafe terrace, a future that feels like electricity before thunder, and an endless supply of books and paint. I would give more confidence than I have, more boldness, more fire, the unrivaled joy of flowers breaking open their vials of perfume, an empty shelf to fill with her own treasure. I would give her voice and muscle. Her perfect mouth will wail with demand and sing her own mouth. Her hands will reach out for what she desires. I would give her the wisdom other women have given me. Your body is electric. You will always be humming into tomorrow. Never apologize for what you want, but let no one else suffer because of it. Your beauty is in the strength of your scream and the power of your legs. The world can be a minefield, but it is also full of wonder. Palm readers and tarot cards are flawed. You will write your own story, and the stars will only serve as reminders of our origin. You are stardust, Aita. You are infinite. She is a spicy one. No, she recently hulked a number of things off the wall. So it's time for
She also picked one of our.
She did. She did. It was a virtual show, and she ran back naked. So I wrote this poem for her baby sister, who is 3 months old. This is called Lullaby. Her name is Ruby. And she's awesome. Also feisty. It's called Lullaby. Don't tell me you don't exist. All I can eat is toast. The smell of eggs makes me gag, and the tiredness in my bones is otherworldly. I can't know yet. It's not a given. That's true of many things. I know many things. I do not know about tomorrow. I do not know about forgiveness or what is on the other side of questions, but I can promise you space and more toast. I can promise to minimize the euphemisms in baby talk. I won't presume a blank slate when you will arrive with so much light. You might hate it at first, the bright lights and crisp air, but you will warm to it. Your would-be sister keeps imagining, keeps saving things in a special box for you. I don't know you yet, but you already belong. It will be my hands that hold you first when you thunder toward the light and wake to clanging and neon laughter. Funny story, I've been many poets sometimes. I was tuning in from the hospital room. Sometimes you just have to wait. All right, I'll read. Okay, I'll read this one called Not Enough. It's not enough to say I am an ocean drawn by light, because there are oceans across the galaxy, existing in darkness, underground and frozen. And anyway, the moon is moving away from us. Less pull, less tide, less light. What it means to be human is to love music. So I say my heart is a cello and your voice the bow. But this fails too. I am out of tune and the strings are frayed. Still, I hold your name on my tongue, the communion. I cross myself in grief. Acts of love inevitably bring us to our knees.
I don't know how to fathom a billion or a light year or infinity. I'm sure that trees remember. I miss the angles of your face, illuminated by long ago light. Outside the world is white and gray, snow globe, confined in a sphere of glass. The trees reach for what's not there, and if suddenly we filled with light, we realize that we've drowned. So I stand here, barefoot in snow, watching the stars as they keep dying. A prayer for you on my lips. How's everybody doing? Good, good. I want to encourage you to get some beverages. Keep yourself hydrated, or drunk. I don't know, whatever you want. We have a special beer tonight, named for the show. There's a Poets and Pints Green Ale. How many of you guys are enjoying that? Nice, nice. So yeah, I haven't tried it yet, but I'm sure it's delicious. So yeah, feel free to get a beverage. I can try to just like fill some time. People have time to do that, but I know it's hard. You want to hear all the poetry. How do you like? Just go fast, Tony says. Go fast. Lightning speed and go get a beer. I'm gonna keep the show chugging along and bring up our next reader. His name is Joe Davis. Let me tell you a little bit about Joe Davis. Joe Davis is a nationally touring artist, educator, and speaker based in Minneapolis. He employs poetry, music, theater, and dance to shape culture. His work has been featured on BET, CNN, and VH1. He is the founder and director of a multimedia production company, The New Renaissance, the frontman of emerging soul funk band, The Poetic Diaspora, sounds really cool, and co-creator of Just Move, which is racial justice education through art. Those applause. He has keynoted, facilitated conversation, and served as a teaching artist in hundreds of high schools and universities, including programs in New York, Boston, and most recently as the artist in residence at Luther Seminary, where he earned a master's in theology of the arts. Yeah. Visit joedaviscoach.com to connect, book, or learn more. Joe, welcome to the stage.
Yeah, what's good? How y'all feeling? Y'all good? I love this. Beautiful, much love to all the poets in the building. Who makes most out of poets? Y'all don't hold it down. And we gotta keep it going. But Tony, make extra loud noise for Tony for real. Yeah. Yo, ever since our first met Tony, he's been holding it down. You have consistently created space for other poets. I can like text and sense your sincerity, how much you care about the art of theater. So we got to give the man a shout. Yeah. I'm curious, who out here in the audience is a lover? Where's the lovers at? See y'all. Okay, where are the fighters at? The fighters. All right. Well, when this poem right here, I want to be goes out to both of y'all. I think we should be both. I like to say I'm a lover and a fighter because I fight for love. You know what I'm saying? So that's what this is about. I'm a spoken word poet. I will be reading from my phone later, but I like to just kind of embody it and get into it. So this is called Lover Fighter. It goes like this. Check, you can't wreck this because we're reckless. Angels and ancestors guide and protect us. Love and hate X on the brass knuckles because we down with the rah ruckus. Suckers but us. Muhammad's Gandhi and Muhammad Ali who taught me how to bob and weave outside of the ring. How to fly and sing without any wings. Dr. X, Dr. King dreams by any means, which means both teams are united as one. We'll live and die by the gun, but by the beat of my drum. When I'm weak, I'm strong, so I can keep it on. The sirens might come, but they can't silence my song. Nah. Fight or flight? Why would I run? I got that Holy Ghost fire inside of my tongue. The glory of ancient warriors inside of my blood. I tighten my gloves and shout at the top of my lungs. I'm gonna love the end of fighter because I fight for love. I'm gonna love the end of fighter because I fight for love. I'm gonna love the end of fighter because I fight for love. I'm a lover and a fighter because I fight. Music is our sword and shield. Music is our force field. Music is the Jedi force tapped to its source to heal. Will we brutalize or humanize? Be defiant or compliant? Are we protectors or aggressors? Is it self-defense or violence? Will they call this an uprising or a riot by terrorists or freedom fighters? Will you stay silent on the sideline or join us when we're battle crying? Because I'm boxing these boxes to try to box me in. Rocking opposites you probably that will contradict. Concoctions, your mama probably taught you not to mix. Like in all the opposition into consciousness. No boxing myths, just a pen and a pad. I've been mapping the yin and the yang, the good and the bad. Any energy you send to me, I'm sending it back. Lyrically, you're hearing Tai Chi whenever I rap. I'm a lover and a fighter because I fight for love. I'm a lover and a fighter because I fight for love. I'm a lover and a fighter because I fight for love. I'm a lover and a fighter because I fight. Yes, he's like that. Yeah. So I heard a lot of pieces tonight about the pandemic. It's like we got to talk about it. We live in poetry and art shall always be relevant to the times. But I want to share a piece that I wrote actually at the beginning of the pandemic, which I still feel like it's pretty relevant to what we're experiencing now. Over, right? You're still trying to figure this stuff out. Like, some people ain't trying to hop on board with the program, but I think we're gonna make it through. But like I wrote this piece, I'm really grateful to be able to do what I love for a living. And pre-COVID, I would tour, I would go to different schools and community spaces and travel around. And then when quarantine hit really hard, everything was canceled. People were like calling me up about my inbox flooded with cancellations. They're like, sorry, Joe Davis, I can't do it anymore. Shut everything down. So I had to have my moment where I just freaked out. I was like, yo, what am I gonna do? I was binge watching Netflix. I'm over here doom scrolling on my phone, like looking at the news. I don't think they should call it news. I think they should call it the worst thing that happened near you. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. Like, all this, we're inundated with all this negativity, right? And I'm trying to like escape it. But it wasn't until I had this really definitive moment where I just felt like this tug in my heart, right? Where I just need to slow down, pause, and take a breath. So I actually turned off my phone, which I never do. I don't know about y'all. Yeah, I don't do it. Why would you do it? It's like part of my arm. It's a fourth, like it's another opinion, whatever. Like, but no, I actually turned off my computer, and just like I just sat in the silence and started just paying attention to my body. I don't know about y'all. Sometimes I forget I even have a body. I think there was times like growing up where my body didn't feel like a safe place to be. But the older I get, the more I realize that everything my body has ever done has been to protect me and keep me safe and keep me alive. And so, I'm at this stage in my life where I'm really trying to just listen to the healing and the wisdom that my body has, right? So I have this moment where I'm just listening to my body and I'm like, wow, there's some stuff going on in there that I didn't know was going on. Like I felt this vibration, like in my gut and in my chest. I'm like, what is this? What is going on? And the more I paid attention, I was like, yo, that's anxiety. That's stress. That's grief. And like I listened, it got louder. And it rose up to like my eyes, and like I felt like I needed to cry, but I didn't really want to cry, but I like needed to cry. And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna fight. I gave myself over to that moment. I surrendered, and I started to cry. Like I didn't just cry. I was like snot bubbles, like the ugly cry. Like I was wept. You know what I'm saying? I just let it all out, and that felt so good, y'all. It felt so good. It's like release. And that felt so healing and liberating and empowering. It wasn't until I had that moment that I was able to tap into something deeper. I'm not saying like everything got better because obviously it didn't, right? But I had a clearer sense of authenticity and who I was, and I felt more secure and grounded and whole. And so that's when I wrote this piece, was after that experience. So I want to share this for you all. Called Questions in the Time of COVID. And one of my mentors told me one time that if art proposes to have all the answers, it's not art, it's propaganda. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, this is a bunch of questions. I'm creating more space for us to get into the questions together. Maybe y'all got some of the same questions, and this is still, I'm still asking some of this stuff. So, questions in the time of COVID. What am I holding that I need to keep holding? What am I holding that I need to let go of? What needs to stop? Or what needs to keep flowing? These are the questions I have in time of COVID. What do I know that I don't know I know? And what do I already know that I don't know I know yet? What doors are already closed? What doors need to be closing? What doors are already open that I didn't even see open? What seems to be glittering that isn't really golden? Am I an ocean in a drop or a drop in the ocean? And what am I putting my heart and my soul in? These are the questions I have in time of COVID. Am I listening to the whispers of the words unspoken? Am I making the space in my body to feel my emotions? Why did it take me this long to call my family and close friends? And will I be able to hold them close again? Do I believe everything that the media is showing? Can I walk outside just to feel the sunshine and wind blowing? What can I do to keep my melanin popping and glowing? Without purpose or direction, does it matter where I'm going? These are the questions I have in the time of COVID. How am I coping? What is my hope in? What am I letting die and what am I growing? Am I reaping the things from the seeds I've been sowing? Why do I miss the things I didn't know I'd miss? Can you please show me where more toilet paper and soap is? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Is my screen frozen? How can I send a remote hug or remote kiss? Is this bogus? Am I the only one who can't keep people focused? Who feels like I'm stuck in a dark place groping? What can I control and who controls this? These are the questions I have. What can I do to support your local biz? Is everything canceled with my loans and rents? I gotta send peace to families at home with kids. And what about those experiencing homelessness? How can we care for those feeling depression and loneliness? Let them know that they're not alone in this. Can this be a time to mend what is bent and broken? Can we give space to check our intentions and motives? We're slow enough to notice what we haven't yet noticed, like the sacrifice of the workers who were so heroic, who show up and show love in a world so sick. When at last, can the whole world rest? Some days I wonder, is there no end? Or can we start over again and keep going? Maybe our fear isn't as contagious as our hope is. These are the questions I have in time of COVID. Let me share one more piece. Super excited to hear Tony. Can we get out one more time? One more time. We can't get one more time. Can't get one more time. I love it. Yeah, I'm gonna share one more piece. This is one of my favorite pieces to share. It's called Show Up. I wrote it a while ago, just really like reflecting and what it means to show up authentically and apologetically and as your fullest self. That's not easy to do, you know what I'm saying? I think sometimes we gotta work really hard to do that. And when you do, sometimes it's messy and awkward and uncomfortable, but I promise you that every time you choose to do that, something powerful happens. That's what I committed, you know. I got like some merch, I got hoodies and stickers and everything that say show up. Just trying to start, support the movement, you know what I'm saying? Because it's all about trying to be a radical reminder. I know I need reminders of why I show up and who I can be when I show up, who we can be together. So that's why I wrote this piece. Hopefully it can be a reminder to you all today. Showing up. Just like this. We've each been called to this place, this time and this season. You may not yet know the rhyme or the reason. You may not feel, think, or believe in the same things I believe in, but we've been asked to show up. Show up wherever you are from. You come here to be free. Bring your full selves with your head and your heart, your hands and your feet, and anything and everything infinitely beyond any duality, your sexuality, gender, race, age, or ability. We all have the ability to be. Without you, I'm incomplete. Without you, there's no we. I need you not just to survive, but to thrive. To come fully awake and alive with potential and possibility. Join me at the table, for it is wide and there's lots of food to eat. Show up, be fed, and feed others, satiating a different kind of hunger. fueling the fire in our bellies. No matter what journey you're on, what you've been, or what you've done, all will be well. We're all welcome to laugh, cry, dance, write, breathe, and bleed into the margins, and follow the call to the cross reaches of who we are. Whether you run, walk, crawl, even if you fall, we fall in love. Just show up. Show up to answer the call to justice. Transform both the soul and the bodily world the soul inhabits. Show up with all your awkwardness and bad habits. Show up with your doubts, with your questions. So here, you can ask them. Show up with your wounds, your scars. We all have baggage. Put all it together, you can unpack it. This is no mistake. You're not here by accident. You're here to share the stories of your sacred passage. You are the only you that ever has been. You are not the magician, you are the magic. So show up. In this place here where there's no grace period, there's only grace, period. Bring your fears and insecurities. Let us marvel in the mystery. Let us listen to each other to life, but keep holy listening. You hear it. You hear it as the sound of the genuine within you. The spirit stirring in you, but if you don't show up, how can anyone hear you? Show up. Even if you don't know for certain. You may have the truth and healing force the world is searching. In this grand universe, we're but small workers with a big purpose because of our hearts widening the circle. Hearts that are broken, hearts that are open, so a little light can shine through, a little hopeless. Wherever you go, simply know the spirit of the space is with you. So go. Ready with sleeves rolled up, always grown. We never fully grown up. Ready with all your hearts, mind, body, and soul. Simply show up. Thank y'all so much for showing up.
Thank you so much, Joe. That was so awesome. Really floored by that. I also was so moved by Ashley. Your work was so beautiful. Like the poems by your children just blew me away, and I just picture these little beautiful, mischievous, rebellious beings. So I'm so honored to like be emceeing such an incredible night with so many, talented poets on the docket. So I did get permission from Tony that we can take a real quick break. So everyone can get drinks, use the restroom if you need to. And then when we come back, I will be introducing the main event of the night. So please get another drink, buy a book, buy stuff from Joe, buy my book. Just spend some money. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about like 4 seconds ago, and they're like, and I just mentioned that's why it's nice to have a great sound.
All right, so we're gonna go back. Purchase. You'll have some time to do that again at the end of the night, but I do want to get at the main event. Okay, we're waiting 1 second.
Waiting for the speakers to come in.
Okay. Smokers are coming down here. So you should write a poem about that. How long it takes to smoke a cigarette, and ideally the length of it takes to read the poem is the length it takes to smoke a cigarette. That would be a pretty good, yeah, that would be a pretty good prompt, I think. It's not about form, that's not form, that's just sort of a creative idea. No form. Tony likes to beat up on me because I write it in forms and he doesn't. We fight. But I also don't always write in form, so hate that. All right, this is a good lively crowd. So welcome back, all. I have a copy. It's really nice. And mine is signed, and yours can be too. A life with poetry. There are so many times when life is thought in the way of poetry. Metaphors are water to drink. Similes are like the rooms where I live. They're not always great, but they're home. Every breeze has an air of something greater, as though I may elevate you, me, literarily. I write these thoughts down for your consumption. You looked like you needed to eat. So here, let me share this with you. These tercets on my tongue, these free verse phrases plucked and peeled by frantic fingers. There's stanza enough for all of us. We say grace. It sounds like an agreement. Can't we all appreciate a little alliteration? Don't we all want to go to bed beside the words that remind us we are real? Don't we want to wake up to the ideas that light our day? Make us understand that that the night isn't evil. It's where the sonnets are softened, turned into paintings of people that could only have been understood through characters on a page. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but with poetry, there is no shortage of words. We have found the economy of speech, and we present it to you in front of microphones no one paid to see, in books no one cared to buy, and in parks, where if one person heard, the process had purpose, then it had substance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tony.
I don't like microphones, but I feel like since we're broadcasting on YouTube, I should probably use it. So I will, and I don't like it. So first of all, let me thank Brendan. It's not here. Actually, I didn't want to thank Brendan. Ashley, who actually named the book. I don't know if you know that. This right here is something that Ashley said she wanted, and I was like, that's the name of my new book. Yeah. And then, of course, Joe. Thank you, Joe. So I'm going to start by reading a poem that's not in the book, because they just wrote it, and I want to read something new. It's called Feast. What? Feast. Yeah, eating. Feast. Food. Oh, okay. Yes. Not feast. That would be improper. Think of the best mistake you've ever made. Was it a person who finally turned over your engine, made you feel like a woman or a man or some other definition of human being? Did they remind you that you were breathing, alive, like you were launched into space, the space between relationships, filled with jet fuel, fire, and the thought that you may actually be touched again, maybe even twice, maybe in that place between reason and responsibility, that place between festivities and fuck yeah, probably for a while. Otherwise, why would you stay? Why would I stay? Why would you decide the lesson is worth the learning? Why would the earth keep turning? Why would you have anything ever to do with anyone ever? Love usually lacks logic. Some people fall in love with the wrong people sometimes. We're told stories of knowing when it's right. We're told stories of feeling it in your bones. Stories are fantasies. Fantasies are lies. The truth is that someone will, at best, be good enough, kind enough, blind enough to your bullshit. We lean on this for years, decades. Even if this person has made a constant feast of your heart for years, decades, they will have no idea of this meal they have consumed. They have been consuming. They will wake up, peel back their blankets, drink coffee, turn on the shower to wash off yesterday, dress in something that makes them feel good, even if it physically hurts, go to work, go to happy hour, find another person, put a number in their phone. No one remembers numbers anymore. Call, plan a date, pretty themselves up, fight the urge to flee, date, smile, kiss, fuck, find love, find home, break up, break down, feel homeless, feel lost, feel quiet, cry, sleep, try again another day, just like you. At least this is what you hope. I fear what's left of my heart is nothing more than an appetizer, a mere morsel. It won't satiate. This is a lot of words and metaphor to say that I miss her more than I'd like to. Okay, so the funny story behind this next piece is, so this piece was written when I was at a writing retreat with the League of Minnesota Poets down in St. Peter, and we had a piece of music on and we were supposed to just write whatever comes to mind based on a piece of music. We were all listening to whatever we chose. So I had headphones on and I wrote this piece of music, which I say that to say this. So when Katie wrote a review of my book, she quoted a line from this piece. And I was like, I don't remember writing that. I hope she was really reviewing my book. So then I had to go through my book and I'm like, oh, shit. And then I found it. So I'm going to read it, which typically this wouldn't be a piece I'd read on stage because it's kind of hard to perform, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's called Baptized. So just imagine a nice piece of music going that's instrumental. Splash, sink, watch the ripples of light, the swim of fish. The bottom's not far, the bottom's not good, though the sand provides comfort. When the need for air surpasses the need for peace, I'll find my way up again, then splash. The water doesn't take away my sins, it makes them feel cleaner. The descent, a necessary cycle. The wash, the weight, ascent, breathe. So everybody's reading their pandemic shit, so I'm going to read my pandemic shit. This is called sensing. Did you get that, David? It's oh so quiet. I hear to entertain, I can hear the static in the universe, the maskless buzz that is bounded across the black and rotates around my ears, or I have listened to too much loud music and now I'm cursed with tinnitus. The oven timer goes off and I'm hungry. I eat to live. Life feeds on life, takes new meaning in isolation. The bumps on my tongue have receded. Every flavor feels distant, though the burn is real. Moments pass and the plate empties. I see to learn. I see from a distance, friends on a screen. The colors are wrong. Faces are looking at me. The light isn't reflecting what my memories reflect. The smell is different. The picture of friends in the woods recalls the scent of pine and openness. I smell to decide the safety of my surroundings. This place is dust and desolation, physically safe, mentally a thunderdome of thought. The scent is free of being. No other being exists here. Touch is the real determination of existence. I say that again, touch is the real determination of existence. I feel so that I know that I'm not alone. I haven't felt touch in too long. My skin cells have begun reaching for it. They stretch until the metaphorical muscles are pulled, and they attempt to reach out through phone calls and correspondence. A breeze brings my head around, hoping to see a face, even if danger follows close. My eyes, my tongue, my nose, my skin, my ears all agree. It's oh so quiet. So if you buy this book, which I hope you do, there's at the bottom of every poem, there's a little either warning or note. And so the poems are alphabetical, but the notes just, or whether it's note or warning, just simply alter. It's really, they're the same thing. But I'm not going to read those up here. Read the book if you want to read those. Okay. So this is a work of satire, so you don't think I'm an asshole. Okay. Trolls regenerate unless you burn them, is what it's called. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, that's vodka. Okay. Trolls regenerate unless you burn them. I'm fucking fascinated, man. I'm also right. I'm going to use random grammatical symbols as swear words because I believe it means I'm kinder than you. I am the political poster, the Facebook educator. Please don't mistake me for the people who research a topic. Lawyers. Or the people who actually read through the thing I'm preaching about. I am the righteous. I have been given the gifts of God and the internet to educate the poor beyond fools. I am the voice of my followers. Facebook calls them my friends, but we know they salivate for my next post. My next jab, my next screw those liberal assholes in those red dipshits. I'm inventing a new side. If you can read this post, then you can feel this post. Innuendo aside, that's all I really needed from a day. Send, breathe, put on a smile for the aftermath. Okay, so this is my dabble into self-help. It's called Awakened. And just so you know, Awakened is kind of what the piece Awakened is what this whole thing is about. This is a quote from Awakened back here. And this, oh, by the way, this painting is called Portal. And it was painted by an artist in Kansas City named Jenny Han, who is amazing. And you can go to Jenny Han Art and buy her stuff. She sells prints, she sells originals, she sells it all. And her stuff is always these vibrant colors, and you should buy it. Thank you, Jenny, if you're watching. Okay, but this is called Awakened. If you can't find the time in the middle of the night to build yourself up when no one's watching, you will notice the deterioration, the slow melt of time. I'm not saying it will get better. I don't know if it will. I do know that it can get better. They say there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not at the end of the tunnel. The light is everywhere but the tunnel. So stay out of the tunnel. Tell yourself that every wrinkle is a story, not a curse. Clean the mirror before you use it. Your reflection has earned that much. Because you're up now. In the wee hours are when people can feel small. But you're a giant in your world. Every last bit of you deserves to be awakened. This one's a downer. It's called Lydia. They named the new baby giraffe Lydia. I cried. That would have been your name had I lived my life differently. I would have taken you to the zoo and we could have laughed about how you shared your name with the new giraffe. My regrets feel like prayers. New life should not feel like loss. I'm going to dabble in a couple of ones because they're fun. Yeah. One of my favorite pieces. Here it is. A lot of you heard this. It's called A Small Amount of Humility. It says to take a drink. It doesn't. Okay. It starts with a quote. True humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less, by C.S. Lewis. The clock is ticking. The noise should be constant. It should hit the beat every time, but it's tick, 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 and it's tick, 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 and suddenly your heartbeat no longer lines up. You feel, oh, you're dying by the second or the half second. It really depends on when that tick happens. I'm feeling death or thoughts of dying is what we do after 40. We balance whether or not this cheeseburger is worth the extra 30 minutes it's probably taking. It is, by the way. In that last 30 minutes, I'll be thinking of all the cheeseburgers and forgotten meals consumed in front of the television. The people in life encourage humility. They tell you, be humble in sports, for it's only a game. They tell you, be humble to your family, for they're the ones who will love you, whether or not you ever improve. They tell you, be humble before God, because, well, I'm not really sure. And also, fuck that. When I die, I want people to be so shocked that they shut down like a soldier who developed PTSD as a child. When I die, I want there to be a service so grand that people wish they could have had an invite. When I die, I want it to create a hole so big that physics can't fill it. I want everything I've ever read to be read, everything I've ever written to be read again to children, even the fuck words, because you can only trust people who curse. I want my stuff to have a presence on eBay. I want to have a fireworks ceremony so I can scare the shit out of my cats one last time. I want there to be, then I want to be the character that everyone is sad is gone next. And I want a memorial bench, so now I can support. I know I haven't done this. Look, when all we're given is this murderous teacher named Tom. When all we have is what we leave behind, it shouldn't surprise you that I want some immortality. Who's selling it? Where can I buy it? You want to be loved in life. I want to be loved eternally. I want you to remember me smiling and then laughing so hard that I made 0 notes. I want you to remember how blue my eyes were when the sun finally came out. And I want that clock to hit the seconds like it's supposed to every single time. My heart doesn't like the spaces. Okay, couple more. I know, but I also got to do signing and we got to get out of here. So I am going to read this one, Spectrums. So this is about whatever happened to spectrums? Apathy, activation, sadness, glee, dying, healthy. All we know is that the ends are bad. And we float in the middle feeling righteousness or guilt. No one is entitled to an opinion outside their friend circle, unless the goal is to obtain a new circle. Conversation has died. Spectrums have died. They were buried together, given a funeral. Eulogies were spoken with picket signs. Crying was allowed, but considered a form of protest. My opinion was that it stood 15 paces away against the train, watching chaos lower the coffin. We hear calls to be involved, but it's all or nothing. Some of us are left with fear, frozen. I love you, but I'm not going to talk about this with you. I guess we can hope that these are not. So I got to get this one in. So I was lucky or unlucky enough to get laid off in 2015, which allowed me the opportunity because my friend Hogan, his wife was dying, and she was down in Kansas City, and I knew her very well. She's a friend of mine as well. Her name was Reverend Jen Holder, and so I got down there in time that we actually all had dinner together. She wasn't able to speak, but she was able to be at dinner and laugh with us and stuff like that. It was good. And then the next day, she was just out. She was in the bed. She hadn't passed away yet, but she was just in the bed. And so they gave me some time to go into her room and read some poetry to her. So I tried to find as many poems without fuck words in it that I could. And I read to her, and it was good. So this is sort of my ode to her. It's called The Remainder of Our Time Forever Yet. I read to you. I knew the darkness had come. I had faith your ears still function. I tried to read the poems that painted pictures. It didn't want you to be scared. You were always a woman that had handle on things, but nonetheless, the metaphors big, vivid, clear. My eyes were numb. Reading to you that day was almost as hard as saying goodbye. Almost. Buckle up, I'm going to close with the longest poem I ever wrote. It's called White Noise. It's 11:37, close to midnight. The TV is on for noise. It's white noise, but it's not white noise. It doesn't fade into the background as we drift to sleep. Shit, maybe it is white noise. It will keep making itself known, periodically waking you up to tell you that it's there in some suppressed, repressed, racist way. Racist people make me sick. I've made myself sick. I've raced people where the finish line had room for one. I've made comments that were sharpened on stones that were thrown in the past at people who passed by me on a lunch break or a funeral march. I don't know. I'm not without guilt. I'm guilty of hanging around. I'm not looking for a jury to hang me. I don't want to be a picture on your wall, the picture of found morality. I'm not that far along, really. I have headphones on, listening to black music so I don't hear the buzz jamming out as I work on projects that are apropos of nothing, like myself. I'm still searching for parts to fix this machine, the one I was handed, the one with hands and everything, and deserving of barely any of it. What I deserve is probably already given to me. I used it and threw it away. I'm sure I missed the basket. It was balled up, and someone who wished they could have had a shred of that had the job of properly disposing of it. This planet is fucking stupid. I say that from a good place. It's fucking stupid. There are hundreds of miles of food growing in the ground, and there are people who fantasize about the last meal they ate because it was the last meal they ate, and it was days ago. People who cry at night because the daylight is where the stars are created and shown. Meanwhile, my white ass is ranting about how it sucks when your neurologist is hot. Fuck! I mean, it's a whole thing. A whole thing that I have the privilege of thinking. I have mini boxes checked for me every morning. Over there, wherever there is, someone is hurting because the few boxes they have are full of bullets in the form of talking points, having to say the same shit so that the great white earth doesn't forget they need help. They're happy to help, but they need help. They need sunshine, shelter, and a lawn, just like me. They don't want to cross burning on the lawn, just like me. Except I would think it was a prank or a mistake because my shadow doesn't know hate. It's black and abstract, like the way the world tries to categorize whole generations of people. When I'm a part of generations of people who own people to make money that wasn't for the people, I can't really feel justice. I can't be in love with the status quo, especially when the status quo has never been fair. So I stand white and ranting because privilege catches ears where other hues are muted, leading to nothing. Because if you're going to care, you already do. And if you have a right to be angry, you already are. The rest is the white noise that puts so many to sleep. Woo! Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being for being with us this evening. Thank you to Brendan, who's now in the room, and thank you to Craig. That's it. So, thank you to my comments standing. My brother, Jason, and everybody else who came down. Thank you so much. I'm going to be over at the table here signing my stuff, selling my stuff, but don't forget to buy. Katie brought 3 books, and if she leaves with any books, I'm going to be really mad. So, thank you everybody for coming to Close and Pints. Please, we're not closed yet. Please buy a drink and hang out and come visit me. And you've all been wonderful. Bye.
Well, you told me like the business place there.
Go ahead.
No, let's cheer for Tony Lawrence.